we're on.
Okay.
Inspiration Nation. Hello, Lee Kemp here for another week on the podcast. Jose Noya, Ryan Boniface, full house here, as well as some regulars on TikTok as well. We appreciate them all being there. If you want to get involved with the show, interact what happened, hear us roasting Joe before the show starts. I don't have roasting still a word the kids use today, but I'm using it anyway. Just follow Jose on TikTok or YouTube, hit subscribe, get notified when going live. Jose Noya, Inspiration Nation in your Google machine, and you will get a page full of Joe. What more could you want? What more could you want? Right, so without wasting any more time for people to drop off while we're just rambling, whose subject is it this week and what are we talking about? We normally plan this. No, I did last week.
You said because Frizzle and Cloud9. Lee has not been here for a while, so Ryan definitely raised a good point last week about you haven't been here for long, so I think it's definitely your turn.
Oh, what? Right, okay.
I think you're prepared already. I know you're prepared anyway.
I think it's mine.
Is it yours?
I've prepared.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's good because I actually haven't. I had some. I was going to run off the top of my head.
I didn't think you had. Last week you said I think it's actually Ryan's turn, but he was like, you said I want to do a talk about the new year and things like that, and I was like, sweet, I'm off the hook for a week. And I sat there about 45 minutes ago, and I was like, bugger, it's my week. So I thought I'd lean on something that we were talking about last week and something that what I kind of referenced last week, or something that I promised to be better with, and that was talking about kind of being better to myself or being nicer to myself.
This is exactly what I was going to talk about if it was my week this week. This is exactly what I was going to talk about as well. So good.
Those of you that think I don't pay attention most weeks, I actually do. And I've actually even dug out a quote. I've even found a quote for it as well.
Right.
So I'm ticking all the boxes.
Not only have we got the same subject in mind, but you're going to do it better than I would do as well. I love it.
This is awesome.
The quote is by Lisa M. Hayes, and I don't know anything about Lisa Hayes. She might be really famous, and I'm just underselling it massively. And the quote is, "Be careful how you talk to yourself, because you are listening."
Oh, I love that.
Did you know? I don't know what the percentage is. But do you all have inner dialogues? Do you two have the inner dialogues?
Non-stop.
Yes,
sometimes
absolutely.
several at once.
Yes.
Do you know some people don't have that?
Really?
Yeah,
Some people genuinely. There's a percentage of people in the world. I don't know if we're in the minority or the majority.
Right.
But some people, I think we're probably in the majority if all three of us have it. But some people in the world don't have that. I find that mental. What do they think about? Because all I think about is my little voice. Sounds like a Black Mirror episode.
I love chatting to myself.
When I was a kid, funny side note, I used to think I was a teacher to a school, to a classroom of kids, and my inner dialogue was the teacher telling the kids. But I spoke last week about how I'm not so sure I'm the nicest to myself internally. I feel like I compartmentalize really well. I've said that loads. If you know me outside of the podcast, I find that I'm generally quite happy-go-lucky. I'm generally quite positive. I'm chatty. I'm passionate. I will die on as many hills that I think I need to die on as possible. I'm one of those type of people. But I don't think many people would say that I am negative, down, or not a nice person to be around, which I think is a positive thing for me to say about myself. But the reason I'm prefacing it is because that's not the type of person I am to myself. And if I'm perfectly honest, that's not the type of person that I am inside, generally ever.
I love this. We are breaking through the shell of Ryan now. This is brilliant.
But I've always been that way. I can't remember a time where I was positive about myself in a way that meant something. And so I was thinking about it the other day. I watched the darts world final. I watched a lot of the darts this year. But if you didn't watch it or you don't know about it, a 17-year-old won the world championship this year. Luke Litley, you must know that name, especially if
I've heard.
You'd have heard that name somewhere in the last 12 months. And he beat somebody that is questionably the best the darts world has ever seen. Phil Taylor's won 16 world titles, but Michael van Gerwen has won like the most titles anywhere ever, or something silly like that. He's unbelievable. Not many people would disagree with that. He's top 2, top 3 of all time. And he beat him. And not only did he beat him, he absolutely bashed him for the first half of the match. I think he was like 4-0 up in sets. If you don't understand darts, they do first to 3 legs, first to 7 sets in the final. It's a bit like tennis, Joe, but you halve the number of games you need, so to speak.
Okay.
And yeah, he's absolutely bashed him. And I thought to myself, that kid must say some unbelievably positive things to himself. And I'm not sure I could think of any that I would class as being genuinely positive. If I try and be positive to myself in scenarios, right? If I take the time to step into it and say, no, don't be hard on yourself, be nice. That inner dialogue bites back and says, "You sarcastic little fuck. You don't mean that." And
Wow.
that's the problem. I try and be nice, but that inner dialogue bites back and goes, "You're not being nice. Don't do that. That's not the person you are." And it's a really hard cycle, I find, to break out of, and I don't know how to break out of it. It doesn't affect me outwardly. I'm not coming here as a cry for help about my mental health or anything like that. I feel like I'm the same person you knew 6 months ago, a year ago, 18 months ago, right? I just either I don't listen to the voice, which is hard because it's always there,
Mm.
um, or what it does say, I rationalize it in a different way, and I find that hard to explain as well. So um, I think I mentioned this last week. I play pool and snooker, right? I'm generally quite good at pool. I think I said that last week. If I've got a big shot or I've got something that I need to do that's tough or difficult, a lot of people, professionals or professional snooker players and things like that, would say to you, you need to positively G yourself up, um, be ready to do what you need to do. Think about your rhythm or your action or whatever you have to do. You'll probably think about it with Joe, with tennis, Joe. I need to nail this serve, this backhand I need to hit really well, or whatever. You think those things. That little voice in my head isn't saying that. It's saying, don't fuck it. Do not fuck it up. That's what the voice in my head is saying. You're going to have to tick the 18 plus box for this, please. Sorry.
It's okay. Good.
I never
Oh,
tick
this is
that
real.
box
This is
whenever
raw.
we
I love
swear or
this.
not, and I've never
You
got in
know,
trouble for it. So
This is good and real, raw.
the voice in my head is like, do not mess it up. Do not mess it up. And if I do mess it up, then it's like, you fucking idiot. Told you that's going to happen. That's what the voice generally will say. And if I do the right thing, the voice in my head goes, finally, you proved me wrong. It's never, ever, 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 ever positive. I could get the CEO of my business come to my house, shake my hand, and say, "Here's a £500,000 check for being the best employee I've ever had," and the voice in my head would go, "Only 500k. You're worth a lot." And that is just the voice in my head. It isn't me. It isn't the person that I portray or that I am or what I try and bestow onto people. That is what the voice in my head tells me, and sometimes it's really hard to escape it. Well, in fact, I find it impossible to escape it. So, because I can't escape it, I'm not really the best person to talk to about how you can really reaffirm those things, right? So I thought, WWLD, what would Lee do? So
Nice. I like that.
I put it into ChatGPT. I said
I both love
ChatGPT.
that and hugely fear for you at the same time with that stuff.
I threw it into ChatGPT, and there's a few things here that I'll go through as we talk through things like that. But what do you guys think? Well, what's your experience with your inner monologue? How do you find those scenarios?
If you don't mind me starting on it, Joe, I'll go.
Go on. No, yeah, go on,
First of
Lee.
all, like I said, when we were talking last week, and we had to kind of hurry the end of it. People will have heard my hastily extra tagged on recording on the end when my bad timekeeping let's run out of time. But I made a note when we're talking because we had the "be kinder to yourself" conversation, which obviously is inspiration for, and I made two notes. One was, this is a subject, and genuinely, hand on heart, I was ready. If you guys joked a bit more, said, "Lee, it's your subject," I was going to do this, and I was even minded. I thought, do I give Ryan a heads up? This